All right, so this video will go into more detail about the structure of the atom, particularly the concept of the atomic number and the mass number. All right, well, it's real simple. The atomic number is the number of protons. We count them, and so the atomic number is an integer. All right, the mass number is the number of protons plus neutrons. And the reason that this is an important number is that since most of the mass is in the protons and the neutrons, and most of them have a mass of about 1, the number of protons and neutrons tells you about what the mass of the atom is going to be. So for example, carbon, always use a lowercase c for carbon, or any element, the name has a lowercase letter. So let me make that c look a little smaller. I was trying to do a small c, but there you go. Carbon. Okay, now the symbol for carbon is a capital letter. All right, so the symbols are capital letters. If there's a second letter, it's lowercase, but the name is always all lowercase, unless, of course, you start a sentence with it. Carbon has 6 protons. All right, now carbon can have different numbers of neutrons, and so most carbon atoms have 6 neutrons. So carbon atom always has 6. So basically the number of protons define what element you have. The mass number, therefore, if 6 plus 6, the mass number is 12. All right, so now there are some carbon atoms, a very small amount, about 1% of carbon atoms have 7 neutrons. And so the mass number of those types of carbon atoms has 13. Okay, so the carbon atoms chemically are the same because they contain 6 protons in the middle, in the nucleus, 6 electrons to balance the electrical charge, and so the chemistry is based on how the electrons behave. We can actually take electrons away from carbon, or add them to carbon, or share them, or whatever, but the protons in the nucleus always stay as 6, and they're not shared with any other atom, or they're right in the middle of the atom with the neutrons. And so if you have 2 atoms of an element where the number of neutrons is different, these are called isotopes. Now, so carbon has 2 common isotopes. One of them is about 99%, the other one's about 1%. There is a very small trace of carbon atoms that have 8 neutrons, but it's a radioactive element. But it's very important for determining the age of substances that have organic carbon in them, such as trees and so on. That's called carbon dating. And so that's a very small trace, thousandths of a percent, with a mass number 14.